Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome once again to yet another edition of GBC TV. I'm standing here on our new church property on an absolutely magnificent day that God has provided, a day that is indeed very clear evidence that spring has arrived. And with the arrival of spring, of course, is the whole idea of new life. One of those very direct evidences of that new life is this flower bed that I'm standing next to right here. The place where our children had the opportunity to plant some of these bulbs last fall, and now we see them springing to life. That gives me great hope as we think about just 8 weeks into the future, as we have the opportunity to occupy our new building, where we also will have the opportunity for a different type of harvest. A harvest of souls that God is giving us as we have tremendous opportunity to minister to even more and more people as God expands His kingdom. Well, this morning I want to invite you to take just a bit of a walk down memory lane with me, if you will. Think back 8 weeks ago when this field and the new facilities were all blanketed with snow, in some places up to mid-thigh. Or perhaps think about 8 months ago when I stood in almost this exact location at our dedication service, and the background was nothing more than just the beginnings of the foundation. What about 8 years ago? 8 years ago, reality is that we didn't even own this property. So much has happened in a relatively short period of time, and we only look forward to what God has for us in the future as well. And the truth is that the future is not that far away. In fact, we're beginning to see some of the finishing touches being completed in the building. Look at some of these things. We see completed ceilings and lights going up. We see tiles beginning to be installed in the restrooms. Drop ceilings being installed in the hallways. Cabinets and countertops being installed in the workroom and other offices. And even the finishing touches of the decorative mural that will be above the platform in the multipurpose room. Depending how old you are, you may remember a TV commercial from days gone by for Heinz ketchup. The point of that commercial was that Heinz ketchup was so good, so thick and rich, that it didn't just run out of the bottle like the other brands of ketchup did. No, Heinz ketchup was worth waiting for. They used a song by Carly Simon that was popular at the time. Does anyone remember the name of that song? Of course you do. Go ahead, just say it out. That's right, it was Anticipation. Anticipation is something that we all deal with at different stages of our lives. As little kids, the anticipation of Christmas morning seems like it's almost unbearable. As young adults, the anticipation of graduating from high school or college and finally entering the work world is often very difficult. Married couples awaiting the birth of that first child can almost be overcome with a sense of anticipation. We all know what anticipation is like. It's that expectancy, that yearning, that eagerness, that longing that we have all experienced at some point in our lives. And certainly the thought of occupying our new facilities fills us with those same feelings of anticipation. For us, I think the best example that we have of anticipation are those expectant parents. For 9 months, they look forward to what's ahead. They're excited about a new phase of family life. They're focused on the joy that that new baby will bring, and they can't wait until that new little bundle of joy arrives. And for us at Grace Bible Chapel, we've also been looking forward to the day when we move into these wonderful new facilities. And I have to tell you, that day is fast approaching. For you parents out there, I don't have to tell you that a new baby will bring tremendous change. There are those middle-of-the-night feedings that we've all heard about. And I've been told that changing a diaper is not always very pleasant. There are those different times of crying and unexplained fussiness that we can't seem to do anything about. But in the midst of all those things, some very trying things, there is that firm assurance, that confidence that you are right where you want to be. that you wouldn't have it any other way. This morning, I want to remind us that our move to these new facilities is also going to mean change for us like we have never seen before. But we also know that we are right where we want to be because we have the confident assurance that we're right where God wants us to be. We have so much evidence of the fact that God has led us all the way. He's provided the land. He stopped us from building when we thought we were going to. He has led us to build when we didn't think we were going to. It's so obvious that God's hand of leadership and guidance has clearly been upon us every single step of the way. And so this morning I want to ask you to pray for three things as we conclude. I want to ask you to pray for flexibility in light of all the change that's coming our way. It's easy to want things your own way, but it's really not about us. It's about what God has for us as a church. Secondly, I want to ask you to pray for our leadership as they lead us through these changes. They have put in untold hours of seeking God and wanting only what He wants for our body. Would you pray for them and ask them to have God's heart and mind as we continue through this process? And then finally, I want to ask you this morning to pray and ask God this one simple question. God, what's my part in all of this? I think if we're willing to say yes to God and whatever He has for us, that only good things lie ahead for us as a church and as Grace Bible Chapel. So pray with me these three things, will you? And I think if we do, we have the confidence that God is going to do what He wants to do through us and in us as He continues to expand His kingdom.
For greater things have yet to come.